And I think the idea is that now we've got it to the stage where we can actually be angry at our players for giving the game away against Brazil. Normally, Scotland lose to Brazil. I remember the game in 1982 where Dave Neary scores first, and then Brazil just turned it on. The Brazil 82 team just turned it on and slammed 4 goals past us, 4 amazingly stylish goals, except for Oscar, his goal at the near post, just a header, just totally out jumped. But they looked super glamorous. You get Zico curling in free kicks and all that kind of stuff, and Eddie are doing delicious shots for the edge of the box. Or did he do the chip? I think he might have did the chip shot over Alan Rough. But at the end of that game, I remember Jock Stein saying, we tried to play them at football. We tried to play them at football. And I'm a kid at the time. I'm 12, nearly 13 years old, and I'm watching that going, yeah, God, that's sage advice from a great manager. Maybe Jock Stein was just playing us along, as every great manager has to. So that's what Steve Clarke's doing tonight. He's berating us for the same thing, losing to Brazil at the World Cup finals by 3 goals. In the past, it was a write-off. This is just what was expected to happen, even though in 1974 we drew 0-0 with them. In 1998 we only lost 2-1 to them. In the World Cup in 1990 we only lost 1-0, but it was Brazil, the Samba Kings, 5 times winners of the World Cup, won it more than anybody else, the only team to have qualified, the only nation to have qualified for every single World. You know about Brazil, you know what they're all about. They're just supposed to give us a doing every time, so you write that off. So maybe this is the next stage of the Steve Clarke thing, is to be berating us publicly, not having any sympathy, not giving, oh, well, we did well, these guys are just on a different planet, they're just at a different level skill-wise, come on, it's Brazil trying to cajole the fans. He's trying to cajole the fans by saying, no, we gave them the goals tonight, we handed them that game tonight, and we might have handed them our chances of qualifying, because of course we could still lost the game, but if you lose the game narrowly, you've got a much greater chance of going through to the next round on the 3 points that we had in the bank before the game started. But no, he's not having it. He's not having it. And he was definitely looking, I think he was looking for any excuse to flounce off there in a kind of plastic, performative sort of way. His eyes are very watery, but it might just be the hay fever. It might just be the fact that it's so absolutely roasting in Miami, I would imagine. But you don't have to imagine, do you? Because if I'm in Glasgow tonight, it's the wee small hours just after the game, and I'm absolutely roasting. It is sweltering. I mean, even by my standards, as a fat man who's generally sweaty anyway, because I've got so many layers of fat round about me, it is absolutely brutal, the heat here. So it makes it very easy to imagine what our players, who are of the same physiological background as ourselves, must be going through, despite all their kind of world class fitness, or their fitness that allows them to play in a lot of cases, world class leagues and Serie A. You can imagine what they were going through over in Miami, up against the Brazilians, who just stroke it about, move so easily. They are on a different level. They're a different level, and you can see that tonight. That's my main takeaway from this: is we have just got to as I've said for years, we've just got to completely change as a country when it comes to football. Do we just want to sit about complaining about it? Do we enjoy, oh, Rangers fans we hate Scotland, oh, Celtic, no, we hate the mayor because the SFA, they wouldn't let us fly the tricolour over the jungle all the decades ago, and Billy McNeil, he just got to pick up the Scottish Cup of the League Cup at Hampden. It was a Union Jack, the SFA couldn't make it any clearer. They're part of the United Kingdom, the anti-Irish establishment. They were crushing. It's all this kind of stuff that goes on, and just basically every other fan of every other club in Scotland could just go, oh, the SFA, whatever concerned with was the national team and the Old Firm, so they've got every right to chuck it as well. Can we just stop moaning about it and fawn out with each other about it and agree to the fact that we all love moaning about the football? So maybe enjoy, and when our team wins, we like to kind of go with other folk. Well, push that onto like an enthusiasm to do something about it, a kind of proactivity. And it needs to start, right? I know there's all sorts of programmes in place and we've got academies and all that, but there's a psychological change as well, just to get our kids out there. You saw that the plan that Japan have got, and I hope that it comes to kind of semi-fruition in this World Cup in their final group game against Sweden. We need them to gub Sweden 5-0, 4-0. I think they've beat Sweden 4-0, and Graham Potter, Sweden did lose their last game by 4 clear goals. Then that'll help us. That'll get us on to. That's one team at the way. They'll finish on 3 points, but we have a worse goal difference than us in third place, and that's one of the teams. That'd be one group we've got out of the way that we've finished better off than in third place. Maybe help us qualify for the last 32. But whatever the Japanese are doing over there, they're just training the kids to pass the ball or whatever it is they're doing. They're planning to win the World Cup at some point. Even France, who were always a step above us, the French, when it came to their national team. But of course, famously, French clubs took forever to catch up with Scotland or overtake Scotland. I think that was just winning their third Champions League when PSG retained it this season to actually outdo Scottish clubs in Europe. But the French went to be the Clairefontaine Academy or Centre and all that, and the English have used their money for the Premier League, the FA Premier League, and they've got St George's, and they've really tried like hell to improve their team from the grassroots level up, and that's the only way to do it. And you can see that tonight. It was just so deliberate. We're so slow. You can see that it's something that needs to go in at the very foundations. Not even get the kids really early in Scotland and teach them how to play in a certain way, but just change Scotland. Change the environment into which the kids are arriving. Not that much. Just the number of times my wee nephew, he played football and all that. The men just want to play football, but see the parents running about the park, or trying to square going at each other and all that, and running on the park and asking other wee wains to kick the shit out of other wee wains and all that. You could be a winner. You could be a winner. Oh, this kind of crap. Need a bit of that. Need something about you, but I don't know. You need to push that to the nth degree, where we're just completely psychotic. And everybody's got to fight to the death when they're playing football from the moment they come out the womb, or we've got to really calm it all down and get it properly organised, make it more of a cerebral operation, have the kids just learn to stay calm under pressure and play through their problems. I don't know, but we need to do something so that the kids come out the wombs and they hit the grass. It's all set up for them. It's set up to encourage them to play football at a most energetic and athletic and skillful level. I've seen the Scotland players tonight. It's so deliberate. It's so slow. And I know they're trying. I know they're giving it their all. And the tactical thing, it wasn't a case that Carlo Ancelotti is a tactical genius, but he's more like a man management genius. This wasn't a great tactical moment for Carlo Ancelotti. He's basically just, in Scottish, what he did tonight is, he's saying to them in the dressing room, these cunts will get it. These cunts will fucking get it. That's used to say, that's playing pub league football, that Sunday league football, and all that. See that cunt, just chase after him. He'll get it. He'll get the ball because of that crap. He just looked into us enough to know that there's no great dossier going on when it comes to analysing the Scotland national team just now. We have no centre halves. Why is Steve Clarke so negative? Because he's trying to protect the centre, but we just got a big hole in the middle between our two fullbacks. That's all we've had at centre half in Scotland for a decade at least, with occasional bouts of form from John Souttar. And maybe that's why we should be more aggressive. People seem to think that's the same as positive. Just charge forwards to keep the ball away from the defence. Nobody comes back at you pretty quickly. He tried to be positive tonight, Steve Clarke, in a meaningful way, and it just led to our centre halves. He gave our centre halves their heads to play with, and their heads fell off in front of the watching world. It was absolutely pathetic. When we did get the ball into dangerous areas nominally dangerous for Brazil, we're hitting the back posts. We're lobbing it across the penalty box to the other side of the penalty box. And Brazil are just regrouping while making themselves a meal and stuff like that. Swapping. What kind of sandwich you got? I'll take that. They got a smoke on them. Have you got a light? They were so slow. Everything was so deliberate. Everything was so kind of obvious what we were doing. The movement was so lacking in grace, poise, devoid of all athleticism. And the Brazilians, this isn't even a good... I've watched enough World Cups. It's not I'm trying to make up an expert in Brazilian football. We've all done this. We've watched enough World Cups without Scotland in them to be good judges of other teams. This Brazil team is not going to win the World Cup. They're not going to win this World Cup. If they do, it'll be a major shock. They're well down the pecking order. And this Brazil team, as kept getting repeated in the BBC's coverage tonight, haven't even started. They're just getting into their rhythm. They're just building up into their samba rhythm, and they finish top of the group, as they always do. With a little bit of help from Scotland, who they reduced to the same as Haiti. They also beat Haiti 3-0 did Brazil. They took the foot off. They scored a third goal after an hour tonight. They had another goal disallowed. How you doing, folks? My name's Alec Anderson, and this is your Fat Eck immediate post-match reaction pod, coming to you in association with... Let's fight. Coming to you in association with the need to fight the urge to say same old, same old. Let's try and find something that's different, because that is how you get ahead. That is how you change stuff. When it's this bad with Scotland, and it's always been this bad with Scotland, this is the top end. This is the furthest extent of how bad it gets. This is how not bad it gets, when technically we've still got a chance of getting through to the second round of a major tournament. It's like Italian 90, we did this. We had to wait for a few days, and Uruguay eventually put us out with a late equaliser on their game against South Korea. Udine, or was it Verona, that game, the Bentegodi? I can't remember where it was played, but they scored a late equaliser, a late winner, I think, Uruguay, and that meant that they were finishing in a better third place than we did at Italian 90, and through they went. It's that kind of thing, and that's probably the best. That is the best it's ever been for Scotland. The third game is over. We are by no means through, but we're not actually out yet. That's it. The number of times we finished the third game at a tournament and we're out, that's it, it's done. But we haven't done it. This is as good as it possibly gets. So we have to find something. We have to claw our way forward, something to hang on to, and Steve Clarke is really, really good at that, maximising the little inches forward that we managed to gain, that we managed to claw. He saw him after the game against Haiti, going about the park, Gillette Stadium, on the pitch, saying to the players, we had to win this game. It's all about getting 3 points out of this game. We've got 3 points out of this game. Allow no negativity about the fact we won this game by the minimal scoreline. We only beat Haiti by a single goal. Just be positive, keep it positive. That's the message, because you need to get the fans on side, you need to get the media on side. This is it's a backs to the wall operation, being manager of Scotland. Didn't qualify for him for 22 years. The man got us there. He got us there. I'm going to repeat it one more time for old time's sake. The man got us there to our first tournament, the first major finals tournament in 22 years, Euro 2020, which was played to 2021, so it becomes 23 years, because that's just how it is for Scotland. COVID was all about us. He got there not through the qualifying campaign, not through the Euros official qualifying, but through the back door, the safety net that was provided to him by Alec McLeish. But Alec McLeish is in charge of Scotland for their very first Nations League campaign, and that gives the incentive of the Nations League. The only reason you play it is you get to have a wee safety net, a second chance at qualifying for major tournaments, and we went in there and we won both the semi-final and the playoff final on penalties. Now, next World Cup campaign, we finished second in the group. We get into the playoffs, didn't go through, but we get into the playoffs via the actual World Cup qualifying group. Finished second in that group to the Danes, and beat the Danes in our last game in the group, just to kind of show we're piling forward. And the Danes had rested players now, but these little advantages lead to the next qualifying campaign, which is Euro 2024, and it's only Spain that finished above us. Spain are the only team to beat us in a sensational qualifying campaign. We win in Norway, we beat the Spanish at home, and we're the only team to defeat Spain in the entire qualifying and finals of Euro 2024, and they hated it. And then we did in the Nations League Group A, and we only get relegated from that after a playoff in League A up to that top tier. And then this World Cup, we've qualified for this World Cup by finishing top of the group. It's steady improvement. So here we are at a World Cup. We've won a game. The last two finals we've been at was 2 Euros, both under Steve Clarke, a point from each of them. We drew one, we lost 2 games, drew one in both those campaigns. No very good. The second one was away from home, though. The second one was in Germany. The first one we did 2 games at Hampden and another game at Wembley, which is our second home. The following campaign still only got a point, but we did it on the continent. We did it away from home, properly away from home. So that's a bit more. And now here we are on another continent altogether. The other side of the world, the USA, the other side of Adrusson, and we've got a win, we've got a victory. We've still lost 2 games in the first round group stage, but we do have a victory. We've got 3 points out of this one. It is a step change, it's an improvement, and I think Steve Clarke was trying to take it to the next level in that post-match interview with Ailey Barber on the grass, looking for an excuse to go flouncing off in the huff. very plastic, not very genuine, but this is what he does. When we went out to Hungary, that 100-minute goal at Euro 2024, in Stuttgart, he went off on one about the referee. He went off on one about the Argentinian. Hi, what's that about? Why are we getting an Argentinian referee in a European game? What fucking difference does it make? None whatsoever. But it's a distraction. Protects his players, protects his job. But protecting his job allows us the consistency that we need. You claw, you fight, you try to get what you possibly can. You try never, ever to say what's so obvious to everybody that's watching Scotland. We're shite. Our players are shite. Now, they're not all shite. They're not all shite. They're good enough. I feel we'll get players that are good enough to be doing better than they're doing just now. But this isn't a problem. This isn't a problem you can level at any one particular Scotland team, any one particular Scotland squad. It has always been thus. Always been thus. My entire life, and I'll be 57 next month, my entire life, I remember 78. Argentina 78 is the worst World Cup I remember. Argentina 1978, possibly the worst World Cup ever to have as a first one. If you're a Scotland supporter, and we humiliated ourselves over there by having ambition, and seriously underestimating our opponents. But it was awful, it was terrible, and I've not seen it. Everything else since then has just been variations on that theme of going to major finals and being a bit unlucky. Not just quite. We very rarely actually just get stuffed and it's a nightmare from start to finish. There's always the hope that kills you, but there's enough in there just to make it more tortuous and more unacceptable that we never, ever get out the group stage. So Steve Clarke maybe tonight is trying to say, aye, we're at a stage where I'm not going to pat the players in the back. I'm not going to pat them in the head. Giving it, well done. Yeah, you only get beat 3-0 off Brazil. 3-0 off Brazil. It's don't feel too sorry for yourselves. These things happen. We want to stop these things happening. We want to stop it happening. We want to go through. We want to improve. And I think the main thing with Scotland is at one point somebody has to start being positive, a little bit optimistic, and try and turn everything into a victory, because that's the one thing we just don't have. Everybody just wants to be miserable all the fucking time, and if they don't want to be miserable, they want to be drunk to the extent where they're having a party straight after the game that's probably cost us a chance to qualify for a second round for the first time. We're having a party, look at us. It's one extreme or the other. It's just basically ignoring the football altogether, or it's lambasting it all the time, because you don't want to dare hope for anything. We've got to have somebody who pushes through and drags us through in between. Says, not good enough, but it's a little bit better. And now we can be angry at ourselves for losing to Brazil. We should be tonight anyway. Anyway, so my name's Alec Anderson, as I say, and it's a Fat Egg podcast. I'm talking to you in the wee small hours straight after Scotland have just been beaten by 3-0 by Brazil in our final Group C game of the 2026 FIFA World Cup in the USA, in Mexico, and in Canada. And we've lost 3-0, and it looks bad. We're straight away looking at all the other groups. I think we're down to 6th out of the 8 best third place teams, and at this point in time it's only ourselves, and there's only one other group that's finished, so everybody else has got another game to play, which isn't always the advantage that people are making it out to be. Other third place teams could take a stuffing in their final game, and their goal difference that was better than ours suddenly becomes worse than ours, and we go through in their place. We're just looking for 4 teams, 12 groups, top 8 best third place teams will stay in the tournament. You're just looking for 4 other nations to be worse than us, and there's plenty of chances, and they go right on to, I think it's a wee small hours of Sunday morning, our time. I think that's when it's Sunday night, our time, is when the next round, the knockout round of 32 starts. So Scotland, hopefully, are hanging about for a while. Hopefully we find out really early that a few other groups end to our advantage. They end with the third place teams on less points than us, or the same points, and a worse goal difference, and through we go. Listen, folks, I think I'm trying to delay talking about the game. Scotland were just outclassed, totally outclassed, and then we added to that by cutting our own throats as well with some farcical stuff. I told him not to put Scott McKenna in the team. I told him Scott McKenna. He took Grant Hanley out and he put Scott McKenna in at centre half. Grant Hanley had that little tactical mistake, that bit of that lack of sharpness at the very start, the first 70 seconds of the game against Morocco the other night, but played well after that and has an understanding with Jack Hendry. And that's what it's all about at this level, is build up an understanding so we can get the best out of our various weak centre-half combinations. But Scott McKenna, who'd been injured, he comes back in. I think people thought he's more athletic. He's certainly a bigger unit. But he made a footballing error. He made a skill error. There was no... It was awful that led to the first goal we conceded. But in he goes, Angus Gunstead in goals, Captain Andy Robertson at left back, Jack Hendry alongside, McKenna at centre half. We had former Rangers player Nathan Patterson at right back, Aaron Hickey still injured. We got the sitting two in midfield that I was crying out for. I wanted McLean and Lewis Ferguson to start because I want to protect our centre halves, get somebody in front of our centre halves. They started both creative as well in their own ways. I think it was a 4-2-3-1 we were playing, and you've then got John McGinn, Scott McTominay, and it was Ben Gannon-Doak in the three. I wasn't expecting Ben Gannon-Doak to play, and it was Lawrence Shankland. Lawrence Shankland started up front on his own for Scotland against Brazil. Quite the moment for Lawrence Shankland, what's been quite a tumultuous couple of months for him, but he's starting in Miami against Brazil in the World Cup finals up front on his Todd. But the idea is, of course, he's going to get supported by John McGinn, who can forage down the right wing, and Ben Gannon-Doak, who I think was trying to do the right. Ben Gannon-Doak, the idea that he's going to be direct, he's got a lot of people wanting him in the team and that, but I feel as if he's a bit indisciplined, or maybe not as switched on as he should be at times. I don't know. But anyway, there it was. It was a few changes, and it seemed quite positive, like he's expecting. You're playing a small strike. There's no getting away from it. Lawrence Shankland isn't as big as Shea Adams. I thought Shea Adams or Lyndon Dykes would get the nod ahead of Lawrence Shankland because he could hold the ball up a bit more, and Scotland would need time to get up the park and all that. Lawrence Shankland, I know there's this talk about how when Claudio Braga was injured for Hearts last season, he was both a 9 and a 10 for Hearts. Lawrence Shankland, but that's a different setup altogether from playing against Brazil in the World Cup finals. Anyway, that was the team. Away we went, and the first 2 or 3 minutes, I was stroking it about quite nice. Looked as if we're just trying to settle into the game, bit nervous, but it's only to be expected. Brazil looking really shitty in their yellow tops, the Canary yellow tops, the famous Canary yellow tops, which they changed because of they lost the 1950 World Cup in home soil in such humiliating style that the Maracanazzo, we're hoping to inflict the Miami Canazza, Miami Canariazza, the Miami Azza on them tonight. It really didn't happen. And they've got the white shorts instead of the blue shorts because we are wearing just to add to it. I know it was tea time and it looked like a dull night as well, but just to attract those last rays of sunshine about Scotland wearing all dark blue. Can we not go back to the all white kit we wore against Norway and Oslo in the Euro 1980 qualifiers? Get that for this kind of weather, this kind of sunshine when the heat's obviously going to kill us before anybody else. But Brazil looking very pastely, very washed out with the white shorts, the white socks in the Miami Dolphins stadium, which has got that kind of pastely green that's almost blue. The Miami Dolphins unbeaten 1972, same as good season for them, same as ourselves. Season for the Dolphins, Dan Marino and all that, but it was a Joe Rogan enough with the stadium, it's just different. But that's all kind of, and it's covered in Brazil fans, the green kind of summery, cheapo American sunshine type green of the hard luck cafe stadium seats doesn't really complement, just gets more washed out by the Brazil colours and yellow and white basically, and then the stadium is full, 3/4 full of Brazilians, and the rest is the Scotland fans make a lot of noise and what have you, but it's almost like off the pitch it's reflected as much as it is on the pitch, and how you've stepped up a level in terms of desire to win football matches, ability to win football matches. Scotland, what a great support, amazing support, taking over the stadium twice in Boston, itself a huge stadium, same kind of capacity as the stadium in Miami tonight, another big NFL stadium, but Brazil are just the biggest business in town, and it's closer to Brazil as well, the States, but they just dominate the stadium. Half of them wouldn't be Brazilian, half of them would just be there to watch Brazil put on it, because idiots always think Brazil at a World Cup is real football fans. Real football fans. Doing the beautiful game, Pele called it, all that kind of pish. Anyway, we're fanning about looking like we're trying to get ourselves comfortable, and just an absolute abomination. You're thinking we've got past the 72nd mark, this is better than the game against Morocco, but we conceded the only goal of the game after 70 seconds. And what exactly happened? I don't know. We're playing it across the back. We're trying. I think the idea was to get settled at the back, but also have an attacking threat. Try and take the game to Brazil. Try and be a bit more positive, because we could lose the game and still be able to go through, as long as we lost the game narrowly. But why not just go and just seal the point? Just try and take the point. Look at the way we lived. We lived with Morocco for most of that game. By the end of the game, Morocco kind of hanging on Friday night into the wee small, in the early hours of Saturday morning. I need to stop saying wee small hours, sorry. But we thought we'd try the same thing against Brazil, because Morocco only beat us by a single goal and they drew with Brazil, so we must be big time players. We needed to bring the ball out. We needed to bring the ball out better. We need to start ourselves off, build it up for the back, and our centre halves just aren't good enough to do that. They just aren't good enough to do that. We played the ball along the back to Jack Hendry, who plays it to Angus Gunn, and then Angus Gunn knocks it to the left to Scott McKenna, ex of Aberdeen. Dinamo Zagreb just now. It's quite a strange place for him to be. And he's got Andy Robertson to his left, so you just put the ball to the left back, and he can't, because is it Ryan, it's a Welsh name. Ryan, he's coming in there, number 26, attacking our number 26. He's just kind of shutting them down, just cutting out of space, cutting out the easy pass to Andy Robertson, but he didn't make it that difficult a pass by standing where he was standing. It's what attacking players do all the time to centre halves, so try to stroke the ball about. So Scott McKenna takes an extra touch, and that's it. It's all over. The guy's on top of him, tackles him. The ball goes to a guy called Vinicius Jr., who apparently is quite good. I don't know why Scotland didn't pick up in this. He leaves. He just basically sends Angus Gunn out the stadium with a side set. Angus Gunn is like running across his own goal to leave it wide open. Hang on, Vinicius, hang on. If I don't run really fast, I might end up being in between the two posts here, and that would make it harder for you to score. There's a chance I could bounce off me without me even. So I will get right out the way. And it's brilliant. It's a brilliant touch from Vinicius Jr. It's a lovely sidestep, and it was smooth. It was smooth. It's what we can't do, but at the same time, it wasn't really a massive bit of skill, was it? He just sidestepped a panicking goalkeeper and strokes it into an empty net, and that's why he shouldn't have fucking played Scott McKenna. And just before we could get to the water break, we did it again. This time it was Jack Hendry, and what he did is he gets the ball acres of space. They're standing off as the Brazilian forwards. They're not trying to trap us or anything like that, but they're closing. They're going narrow at the edge of our box. No, but it's good 10 yards outside the box. Just try to cut off the options for Jack Hendry to pass to. So Jack Hendry, what he does is he cuts across his own box at an angle so that he can go right into the middle and run right into the middle of all those Brazilians. Kenny McLean's offering himself, facing his own goal. Kenny McLean, I'll take the ball and try and turn before Brazilians round about me. By the time Jack Hendry gives him the ball, that's, I think, slightly overhit, Kenny McLean's got to knock it back to him, straight back to him, because he's got nowhere else to go. And when he knocks it straight back to Jack Hendry, that's they can't cope with that, and he turns round to try and kind of get it back to Angus Gunn, I think. Next thing you know, it's Vinicius Jr. has tripped him up. We didn't see that at the time. Didn't look like he tripped him up. It looked like Jack Hendry made a complete arse of it, which he did. And the ball gets walked into the back of the net. Jack Hendry thinks about bringing down Vinicius Jr. But it's that way. He's basically just going onto his knees and then trying to grab at his waist and thinking I better know. And in the slow motion replays, it just looks like he's on his knees begging him not to score this goal. Vinicius Jr.'s clean through on Angus Gunn and slots away, absolutely no problem. And that's 2-0. Well, 20 minutes or something, 25 minutes. That was. I know it was towards the first hydration break, because we then got the mother of all breaks when it was a foul. It was a foul. It turned out Vinicius Jr. had that thing that we all do at the five-a-sides and that. If somebody's got the ball they're facing their own goal and you know they're in control of the ball. You just kind of stick your foot in there and try and rumble them up, or whatever. And he's probably accidentally, Vinicius Junior has tripped Jack Henry, but he did trip him. He did trip him. It was a foul, not a lot in it, but he did trip him. The VAR saved us, and what a boost we took for that. Getting off the park, only 1-0 down after thinking we're 2-0 down before the first water break. Getting the water on board, probably bit of a pep talk, a bit of tactical rebooting from Steve Clarke, and we come out for the second quarter looking absolutely fantastic. Tremendous Scotland looked as we went for it. We won a corner and everything. Now, and it's a bit like the Morocco game. We started at the end of the first half against Morocco, where we'd win a corner and we just put it right across the face of the goals with no chance of anybody getting on it. But then we maybe won another corner, and this time somebody got up and kind of got a head on it. And it was Scott McKenna gets up and he gets a head on it, and it's Scott fucking McTominay again. I think we are going to go through to the next round, but I think Scott McTominay is going to explode in the next round. He's got a hat trick against whoever we get. We're going to end up piling our way through to the quarterfinals. But he was doing against Morocco. He's getting in the way of his own players. And if he gets in the way again, he just jumps right across Scott McKenna, who, whatever he might be at the back, when he comes up into the opposition box, he's a huge unit. One of the guys that can live physically with the Brazilians, and he wins a clean header, but he totally sclaffs it because Scott McKenna's right on top of him, so he basically nods it down onto his own feet, and away it goes. But we're getting up the wings and getting the ball into the box, and it was one of those little passes up the inside, left, inside, right channel, a bit of an overlap going, and Brazil were just cutting out the crosses, no problem, never threatened at all. Never properly threatened him. We got a shot on target, but Lewis Ferguson, who again was having a great game, we'd already had a clearance off the line by Nathan Patterson and Lewis Ferguson. I think Lewis Ferguson kicking Nathan Patterson's feet onto the ball after another rick at the back had led to it looking like it was just going to roll over the line again for Brazil. But Lewis Ferguson has a shot from outside the box, which I think took a deflection and it goes up over the bar. But if it had been on target, it might have gone in. You never know. That kind of stuff. And then right at the end of the half, this time Brazil got a good wee move going down our left-hand side, down their right-hand side. And it's a lovely one too. It's just slick first-time passing from Brazil, which doesn't look that great to the untrained eye, but it's everything Scotland can't do. Nobody's stopping the ball, taking a touch and then thinking, right, where am I? It's just ping, pang, pong. You know, everybody knows what everybody's going to be. So they work a wee 1-2, but Andy Robertson is into the box, but Andy Robertson tracks his runner and tackles the guy, wins it, and just fires it straight out the box. But again, because we're trying to build from the back, I think we get the idea that lumping it up to Lawrence Shankland, lumping it up to any centre forward for Scotland isn't going to work. We need to play a bit of football. We need to get up there in numbers and be a bit of accuracy and purpose. So the mantra from the dressing room, from the manager, has obviously been pass it out from the back, try and build from the back. So Andy Robertson wins this ball in the box and just, instead of lumping it up the park, he squares it straight to it. I don't know who he's trying to square it to, actually. It is a Scotland player he's trying to square it to, but in comes Cunha. He is the number 9 for Brazil, and he slides in there and kind of blocks it. Sends it out to a colleague of his on the wing, who just puts it first time right across, not on the wing, at the edge of the box, and first time to the back post. Where a ball, he just looks up for a nanosecond, and this ball he puts to the back post cuts out Angus Gunn, who's doesn't know what he's doing. His placement's absolutely terrible. And it also cuts out Jack Henry and Nathan Patterson, Vinicius Juniors, and he's moving from the kind of centre right across them to the back post, even though he comes in off the wing usually, Vinicius Junior. But we just kind of watch him, can't keep up with his movement at all. Headed into and it's just, that's 2-0 to Brazil. He heads it in the top corner, and it's just before we get to half time when a killer, an absolute killer, and that's it. We're exhausted. You can see already the players when they come up. This is in injury time in the first half, and when they're looking at the board or whatever to see how much injury time, I'm thinking, make it 3 minutes. Please just make it 3 minutes, and it comes up 6 minutes, taking you to 51 minutes. I knew we couldn't survive that. Coming to the second half, not bad again, not terrible, not great, but we end up. Andy Robertson didn't appear for the second half. It's Kieran Tierney, who I thought might be gone forever because he's very injury prone, and he just sat down as if it's a really bad one an hour into the game against Morocco. But he comes on at half time, and I'm thinking, oh, who's bringing on Tierney for? Are we plugging it up at the back? Are we just going to try and save it at 2-0 and hope that that's a good enough goal difference to get us through to the next round. No, he's actually coming on for Andy Robertson at left back. At first I thought, see Stephen Naismith kind of almost cajoling Steve Clarke on the way back to the technical area at the start of the second half. And I thought maybe Steve Clarke said a total rammy with Andy Robertson about tactics, about maybe he's blaming him for the first goal. They've had a fallout and that's it. You sit down. Tierney, you're on. I don't know. But no, it turns out Andy Robertson was kind of injured. Kieran Tierney did well. He did well. He's getting down that left-hand side. He got a couple of good balls in. Was it him that got the ball in that was met square, I think, by Scott McTominay, right at Alisson Becker, and up it goes. He just kind of pushes it over the bar. I think we might have only registered that one shot on target right up until the moment just before the end of the game, getting towards injury time. It was injury time in full time. The injury time at the end of the second half, where we're scrambling about in the Brazil box and we hit somebody who's prone on the deck. It's come off Becker or something like that. It's very near. It's about a yard from going over the line, but there's a Brazilian in between it and the line, so it's a moot point, and it gets cleared, and then we have to defend like hell to stop Brazil scoring a legitimate fourth. But on the hour mark, they'd got their third goal. Brazil, we just slick football. Casemiro, a couple of 1-2s. Undertaking, overtaking, slalom and stuff, and Casemiro plays a fantastic ball into, is it Bruno, who runs into the box and just gives it the old samba swivel hips and then lays it off. He's going to the left, but lays it off to the right, and Cunha slots it into basically an empty net because the entire Scotland team is still following Bruno, mesmerised by him. It's just too easy. It's too easy, and yet I don't criticise any Scotland players for it because it's just in our nature. We're just not good enough. We're just not good enough to keep up with that level of football. And I don't know why. When we have got a 50,000 capacity stadium, 52,000 capacity stadium, 60,000 capacity stadium. There's 3 stadiums in Glasgow, all seated with capacities of over 50,000, and yet we think we're not deserving. We don't deserve to have good football teams, a good national team. I'm just going on a rant, folks. So that's that. It looks like we're going to possibly be out. It's all to do with how it's going in the other groups. I've brought this up on the computer here to try and arm myself with the knowledge. I'm going to refresh because we're on 3 points. We are -3 goal difference. 3 games played, -3 goal difference. In the third group, Group C. So we need 4 other teams. We need 4 other teams to finish worse off than that in third place for Scotland to be able to progress in this tournament. And we have, for example, right now, Mexico are drawing with the Czech Republic, and South Korea are drawing with South Africa in Group A, and that would be perfect. That would leave the Czech Republic on 2 points, South Africa on 2 points. Mexico win the group on 7, South Korea would be second on 4 points. That's ideal. We would finish a point ahead of the Czech Republic, but what's going to happen there is it's early doors. One of them is going to score a late winner. Czech Republic will probably score a late winner. They'll get 4 points as well, and that'll be us out. But it was already tonight, the one group that concluded before ours, Group B, Switzerland and Canada didn't concern us, but the game between Qatar and Bosnia introduced me to the entirely new concept of cheering on Bosnia. I like Bosnia. I love Bosnia. I was cheering on Qatar. A theocracy, a petrodollar theocracy who nobody should be cheering on. But it's 2-1. They were 2-0 down, then they come back to 2-1, and they were looking quite good. They were kind of dominating, but then Bosnia got the third goal with 10 minutes to go, and I put Bosnia on 4 points. So that one's out of the reckoning. Then it's ourselves in Group C. Group D, in third place, you've got Paraguay on 3 points. Turkey are already out. They're on 0 points at the bottom of the group. But Australia are also on 3 points, but have got a better goal difference. Paraguay are on 3 points in third, but with -2 goal difference. The USA, this is the USA's group. They're on 6 points. They're already through. They've won that group, but Paraguay beat Turkey 1-0. They kept a clean sheet against Turkey with 10 men for most of the game the other night. So the chances of them even losing to Australia, never mind losing by 2 goals, is kind of slim. But you never know. Australia had a good result against Turkey as well. There's a chance there. That will worsen Paraguay's goal. They need to lose. We need Paraguay to lose to Australia by a couple of goals. You've then got the Group E, Germany, Ivory Coast, Ecuador, Curacao. So Curacao get a single point. They've lost 7-1, and then to Germany, then drew 0-0 with Ecuador. Ecuador on that single point, can't score for love nor money, Ecuador. So they go into the final game against the Germans, who've already won the group. And we need, it'd be just like the thing if Ecuador actually went and beat Germany. The Germans are probably going to rest a few players, but they'll be keen on winning the group. Oh, Ivory Coast, they'll win the group anyway, because they beat Ivory Coast, and that's the only team that can catch them. The Germans. So the Germans are probably going to rest some players against Ecuador, but if they could, even a point, even if Ecuador just draw that game, and of course Curacao, you're assuming Curacao are going to at best draw with Ivory Coast, but you never know the way they're going just now. So you want Germany and Ivory Coast to win those games, and that's looking quite good for us, that one. Then you've got the aforementioned Swedes in that's Group F. You need them to lose 4-0 by 4 goals to Japan. It's not going to happen. Next third place team in Group G is Belgium on 2 points, and their final game is going to be against New Zealand, who you've got to think they're going to beat, isn't it? They drew with Iran and they drew with Egypt, didn't they? Belgium. So they're going to play New Zealand in their final game. But we're okay. New Zealand, they drew their first game against Iran, and they lost to Egypt in Vancouver, didn't they? Lost to Mo Salah scoring. They lost 3-1 in that one. So, and even then, Iran are on 2 points as well, though. And Iran are playing Egypt, who are on 4 points. That could be either. Then you get 2 chances there of Scotland getting put out, but also 2 chances of Belgium are going to at least draw with New Zealand, so they'd go into 3 points and a negative goal difference. That's sort of an even goal difference, a 0 goal difference. That means they would put us out. Yeah, but maybe Iran is the best chance there. Egypt beat Iran and they draw, and Belgium beat New Zealand. That's a good chance there, actually. This is a really interesting one from me. Group H, Spain in first place, Uruguay second place on 2 points, Cape Verde in third place on 2 points, Saudi Arabia on first. Final 2 games, Saudis play Cape Verde, who've got those 2 draws, but I don't know. Saudi Arabia are very well capable of beating Cape Verde, whose bubble's got to bust at some point, you would think. And as long as Spain then beat Uruguay, because Uruguay are a threat to Spain, Uruguay could take top place in the group from Spain if they were to beat them. So yeah, I'm hoping for that. That's a really good chance there. Cape Verde currently third on 2 points, but Uruguay above them on 2 points as well. So let's hope Spain and Saudi Arabia win. Group H, Group I, France, Norway, Senegal, Iraq. Senegal currently in third on 0 points, but they're playing Iraq in the last game. France and Norway, that's nothing to do with us. First and second, and they meet each other. But Senegal, Iraq, you're looking for Iraq to take something off. Senegal are on -3 goal difference and 0 points. So if they win the game at all, they're going to have, if they win the game by a single goal, they automatically go with 3 points and a better goal difference than us. So you're looking for Iraq to take something off Senegal. That's difficult. Iraq are kind of struggling a bit. They've taken a heavy beating, lost both their games so far by 3 goals, but they've got a great spirit about them. The Iraqis, you never know. Group J, that's evil. Algeria against Jordan. Yeah, Argentina and Austria. Austria are on 3 points and 0 goal difference. They're going to be playing Algeria, who are also on 3 points but a -2 goal difference. Go for Algeria to get gubbed by Argentina. Are playing Jordan, so that's got to be a shoe-in. Jordan are going to give us any trouble. They're going to stay in 4th place. But Austria, Algeria, we want the Austrians to win that game by a couple of goals. Austria beat Algeria by a couple of goals, which they will want to do to finish second in the group. Yeah, that's a good one. There's a wee chance there for us. And Colombia, Portugal, Congo, Uzbekistan, Group K. Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, on a single point, and they're playing Uzbekistan in the last game. Colombia and Portugal, they're both through. They're playing each other in the last round of fixtures in that one. But Congo could... You're needing Uzbekistan to take something off the Congo. If Congo beat Uzbekistan, as they probably should do, that's going to be, they'll be on 4 points, and that'll be can't do anything. They can't finish above any of those teams. But I think Congo, Uzbekistan, you never know. They took a bit of humping off the Portuguese, a bit unfortunate against the Colombians. They might raise their game against Congo, who only got that single point so far. England's group, England and Ghana, both on 4 points. Croatia on 3 points. Panama are out. You're looking at Croatia have got a -1 goal difference, so you're needing Ghana to beat Croatia by 3 goals. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen in that game. So, but there's quite a few chances there, and probably by the time you see this podcast, all of them will be gone. Those groups will be over. I don't know. So I can't go. I've got a whole massive spiel lined up about what we do about the future of the Scotland manager, what we do about the future of the Scotland team, the state of the nation. All that. I did a wee rant at the start there, but I can't put it into action until we actually know for sure what's happening with Scotland. There's still a chance. There's still a chance, and that should be the Scottish motto. It's been brutal. I can see improvements. The fact that Scotland are there at the World Cup is a massive improvement. We hope it's going to improve even. It's going to improve even more. I want another chance. I don't want to go home. Obviously, I think we're at the stage where if we do go into the last 32, it'll be a kind of damp squib at first, because we haven't done it by beating Brazil. We haven't got a result against Brazil. We haven't got a result against Morocco. It's going to be, suddenly it will seem last 32 as opposed to a traditional second round. There was 32 teams at the last World Cup. The entire last World Cup was 32 teams in total. So it's a bit of a technical advance as opposed to the connotations of what it takes to advance in a tournament. Sorry, folks, I am talking too much because I'm struggling to find my words because I'm so tired and it is so warm and I'm just far, far too sober for what we've seen. But I want us to stay in this tournament so we can get a chance to do something. And what a difference it will make to the entire national psyche if we can get through and then have a chance to do something. Maybe we take a leathering off whoever we play in the last 32, but you never know. A chance for, I don't think Scott McTominay's properly arrived yet, and the whole team have been in this environment. They're getting familiar with it in a way that no Scotland team in the past ever would have. You take one more step and suddenly you just change a national psyche. You change the atmosphere around our national game, which I'm getting sick of talking about. I'm getting sick of wishing for, but I'm going to spend another 2 or 3 days anyway wishing like hell that we can stay in this World Cup. Thanks very much for staying with this podcast, troops. I will talk to you at some point. I'm going to be back very shortly with the... Thanks very much, Rangers, for making Derek McInnes's press conference the same day as Scotland playing Brazil in the World Cup. But Scotland are going to get to the quarterfinals and the semi-final. You've got to announce the guy at some point. You have to squeeze it in some point when Scotland are permanently at major tournaments these days. Thanks for your time, troops. I'll talk to you soon.